Good morning, Genderqueerchat. Joe here. It is Monday morning. I'm late again. This week's topic is what are some common misconceptions about genderqueers? Um, I don't know that I have an answer to that question because I don't know that I ever knew what it was until, like, in order to have a misconception about something, you have to have a conception about it in the first place, right? And I don't think a lot of people know what genderqueer is. I really don't. And I think when people first hear the word, they hear the word queer probably trumps the word gender, so they assume. I think they just assume it's something to do with queer. And as I've said in previous videos, I don't actually relate to the word queer very well. It's not something I've ever used to identify myself. So I prefer gender variant or gender fluid. And I think that is a misconception, the fact that it's on the queer spectrum, specifically as it relates to sexuality. Because to the outside world, I appear to be a straight female. And there's nothing queer about that, right? And I am a female-bodied individual who's attracted to male-bodied individuals. So, I mean, it kind of is not particularly queer. So that is a misconception. I think the fixation on the queer part of the word and not the gender part of the word. I think gender, even gender variant or gender fluid or gender queer, when people finally get a small grasp of the concept, they usually make that base. They usually don't really get it at all. And they think, so I usually say something along the lines of it's on the trans spectrum or it's like transgender. And then they kind of start getting it. But then they think, of course, why do you look like you do? I think one of the misconceptions because I look female is that I must have been a man and now I've chosen to look female. So again, it's binary thinking. You can only be one or the other. You choose to look this way. So clearly you can't be very variant if you're choosing to look like one of the two on the binary. I personally don't think I look that female because I don't do a lot of things that other females do, particularly with makeup and dress and carriage and the way I speak and things like that. However, other people would argue that I am decidedly female, that I do have a lot of the hair, for example, or a lot of the clothes that I wear, particularly my body shape and the boobs and the fact that I don't try and hide them. Well, I can't, even if I wanted to. I think there's a lot of misconception about gender being on a spectrum and gender being something that is a choice. I think people are just fixated on, I think people mistake the words gender and sex for the same thing. They think that you're sexed at birth, you're female, so you've got to be female, your gender is female. And I'm guilty of that. I know before I really understood the word genderqueer, or the concepts of gender, like gender studies. I know it's a university course and stuff like that. And for those of us who didn't go to university, didn't take gender studies, gender is just a word that kind of means the same as sex in a lot of people's mind. And they don't understand that, gender's between the ears and sex is between the legs, as one person has, or as it's been described. I like that. I personally love that description because I do think gender is a state of mind. And when it is a state of mind, as it is a state of mind, it is something that I can not choose. I didn't choose my gender, but I can choose the words that I use to describe my gender, and genderqueer fits better than female fits. I prefer it. I think sometimes when I think about the way my mother is, the other day my mom said something really funny. I put it on my Facebook. She said, "I love you gals," to me and my sister. And then she looked at me, she goes, "Or whatever the hell Joe is," which was so cute because she's 72 years old. She's got a lot of binary thinking that she struggles with, but that she faces every day. That's the way her brain is wired. And she understands genderqueer more or less. She knows what I am and she knows I'm not exactly female, but she doesn't really have words to describe it. And I often catch her saying things like that. "Oh, whatever the hell Joe is," or "that thing you are," she says sometimes. It's kind of cute. She doesn't always, she doesn't have the terminology that me, after years and years and years of studying the subject, has. And I get it wrong too sometimes. So, I mean, that's the thing. I think because it's such a new concept, I think like LGBT, a lot of gay words and concepts in the gay world, are decades old. People do understand the difference between a gay and a lesbian, for example, or the difference between, I'm not even thinking in binary terms, but just different, you can say something like, AIDS march or AIDS quilt, and people know what you're talking about. There's a language to describe some LGB issues. There's not a lot of language to describe trans issues, and there certainly is no language to describe genderqueer issues. So it's so new that I think people just have a hard time even finding words to describe what it is. I love this channel because it's such an education for me and for everyone else. I love educating people, but I love being educated, and I love... Oh, by the way, did you see my non-breeder? I got that out on the street with when I hooked up with Christina that day in Toronto. It's a store in Toronto. And actually, it's because I don't have kids, but I think gay men wear this shirt or something. I'm not sure. Gay men who choose not to have children. See, again, that's a misconception on the gay spectrum. Back in the 90s, I remember I bought a t-shirt that said the family tree stops here, and it just presumed because you were gay you weren't having children. And that's completely changed in recent years. So things do evolve and things do change. But back in the old days, you know, if you were gay and you lived a gay life, chances are there weren't a lot of options. Nowadays, you know, there is gay adoption allowed, at least in Canada, and, you know, surrogates and stuff like this, and in vitro fertilization. These were not concepts that were even accessible to gay people in years gone by. Okay, I really like this week's topic. Looking forward to other people's input. We should pick a bonus question. If you could time travel, where would you go to and why? I'm just trying to think of my favorite era. You'd think I'm a bit of a history buff, I would know better, but I love modern technology. I can't imagine being without modern technology. So I guess Atlantis. Whatever advanced civilization existed before the Ice Ages, if there was. But I don't know that, you know, like during the building of the pyramids, which, by the way, I don't believe happened 3,000 years ago. I think it happened 13,000 years ago. You should read a book called Fingerprints of the Gods by I think his name's Graham Hancock or Graham... Can't remember his name. Anyway, The Fingerprints of the Gods is the name of the book. And there was something else I wanted to tell you guys, and it's slipping my mind at the moment. But I'm already late, and I gotta go to work, and I gotta get out of this hairy t-shirt that I slept in, because, oh yeah, I watched Breaking Bad last night. That's why I didn't make a video. I was enthralled with the season premiere. All right, thanks for all the birthday wishes, you guys. Catch you later. Have a good week.